And I would say that the strike element in our offense is our inside receivers. The combination of our slot receiver Kyle Williams and Josh Cook, as part of the triumvirate at tight end, along with Tyler Wright and Tyler Graves, have really been the catalyst for how we're playing offense right now. The one thing that they are able to do is they're extremely good blockers, and they're also excellent catching the ball over the middle. You can't defend Xavier Finney running the ball and stop play action pass over the middle. So it's good to have Michael with us. He'll be able to elaborate a little more on those guys. As I begin today's press conference, as one of our less witty, urbane, or English-speaking guys said, we ain't done nothing yet, and we really haven't. We've held the fort at home, which is a requisite of good football teams. We've lost 3 in a row on the road this season, and it's up to us as a coaching staff to make sure guys play up to their capabilities and abilities on Saturday against a very tough, hard-minded Northern Colorado team that has played very well on defense. Still trying to find its way on offense, but it's played very well, especially opportunistic on defense throughout this season.
Mike, they've got 14 interceptions as a team, which is the most in the Big Sky Conference. Are they doing anything unusual or special, or is that just been the way the games have played out, that they've been in a situation to make all those interceptions?
Well, Don will be able to speak at length about that, but essentially they're built to stop the pass. Okay. They're a pro-style defense that use a variety of coverages, interesting coverages, mix up their coverages. They're built to stop the pass, which means that obviously that might send a shiver down some people's spine, given the fact that we love to throw the ball. But for us, what a wonderful challenge. What a wonderful challenge.
Yeah, but you also have Xavier Finney now, which is an added dimension this year. If they're not very good against the run,
well, they're not.
I didn't
say they're terrible against the run. They're built to stop the pass, and they're not bad against the run. But again, Mark, just what a wonderful challenge for us offensively as a coaching staff. I look forward to the interplay. I told the offensive staff this morning, it's awesome to watch those guys prepare for a complicated defense. And the cool thing about us offensively is that we're in our 4th year. The plan that we began with way back in December of 2010 has come to bear fruit, and this is what we are. We never really intended to be a pass-only team, but we had to be pass-only for the first 2 years until we could sculpt our offensive line to our needs, and our offensive line has come to that point, and Xavier and Justin are taking advantage of it. We're doing a good, wonderful job of protection. We're doing an awesome job of catching the ball in traffic. We're doing a better job of playing our depth. We've lost a couple guys by unavailability or prior of note who will not play this season, and Brock Malcolm hasn't really been effective and on the field since Eastern Washington. So the great thing is not only are we good with our starters, we're good with our depth, we're good with our teaching, we're good with our learning, and it's showing up every single week. And defensively, on the other hand, we're 2 years behind. We essentially started all over again after the 2012 season, and so we're still a season and a half into a new learning curve, and that curve is steep. Ooh, is it steep? Because we got gutted last week, but we really didn't get gutted. If you look at on the surface of it, they attempted 77 or 78 passes on the day. They were only credited with 65 pass attempts, but we forced the quarterback to scramble, we forced him to run, we got some sacks. They tried to throw the ball on every single down against us, and we did not respond as well as we needed to, particularly in our deep coverage, where we allowed 3 plays to get the top just ripped off our defense, and our underneath drops by our linebackers into the intermediate slant zones was woeful. And we've got to get that corrected this week before we play against a team that also really wants to only throw the ball.
But there were times, Mike, in that Southern Utah game, particularly in the 3rd quarter, where they had you pinned down offensively. Your defense did make the stops when they needed to.
Of course. The one thing we're doing defensively is we're growing and maturing on every play. Our standards on defense are the same as our standards on offense. We don't want to have a bad series. We don't want to have a bad play. We don't want to have a bad quarter. And when you get a combination of not playing great on offense in the 3rd quarter, not playing great on defense in the 2nd quarter, and parts of the early parts of the ball game, all of a sudden now you've got a outlandish score, and at 56-28, that's not our character. We don't want to be like that. We want to be 56-7. and we're good enough to do that. And we turned a wheel route loose, the most elementary part of the game, on the first or second possession of the game defensively, and it's just an elementary mistake that resulted in a 79-yard play. And we recovered, and they ran the same play in the third quarter, and we blanketed it. So there's a lot of teaching and learning going on still on both sides of the ball. I wouldn't say our game against Southern Utah was our A game, and I don't think Justin played as perfect or as well as he's played. No one really played as well as he could. To me, that was actually a letdown game in certain aspects. The one areas, though, that we really have risen and continue to play well is in kick teams. We've now become a reason that we don't lose games. We've become a reason that at least we're level. Our return game is not necessarily there, but our coverage units are playing very well, and C.J. Reyes tapped the ball all over the field and pinned him when we needed to have him pinned because we weren't getting first down. So a complete game victory, but kind of a nail-biter. Kind of an interesting nail-biter. Hard to say that a 28-point win's a nail-biter, but it was a little bit of a nail-biter. And, as we look at Northern Colorado this week, our record against them is speaks for itself. We blew them out in 11. They knocked us out in 12. We knocked them out in 13. So is it their turn again? I guess that's a rhetorical question, and hopefully we'll find out on Saturday from play 1 to play 234 how many plays are going to be in this game. So a good test for us, though, a very good challenge for us. Yet it's awful fun for our entire program to be in the hunt now that cold weather has come to us. Usually by the time the leaves turn golden and the weather turned cold, we were just talking about next year already in certain aspects. So it's fun to be in the hunt, and I like where we're at.
How does Northern Colorado compare offensively to Southern Utah?
Well, again, I'll let Spencer really kind of expand on that. Pretty similar. Neither team really makes a bona fide attempt to push you off the ball and run the ball. They really want to throw it, and they've surrendered the run to a certain degree.
I hate to harp on that Southern Utah game, but you just mentioned that you thought it was a letdown game for you guys. Letdown game, and
well, we didn't play great. I mean, we caught the ball very well. We didn't have a lot of drops, and usually with a passing team, when a letdown occurs, a huge letdown, it's like drops all over the place. Well, we let down in certain other areas that we can take advantage of. We got to play better coming out at halftime. And we haven't played great in the third quarter all season long. You look at the points scored in the third quarter. We've had a couple drives. We've done some nice things in the third quarter. It's almost like at halftime we're not going to go up to the locker room. We're just going to stay out on the field and chew around for a little bit and run 25 or 30 plays and get going again. So, again, we want to play better as we start the third quarter and put everything away. If we're that good and they're not playing well and we've got a substantial lead at halftime, we use the third quarter, first 4 or 5 minutes of the third quarter, to reassert our will, and we need to be able to make sure we're conscious of that.
Speaking of the locker room and halftime, how was it after all these years to finally have air conditioning?
That's a great point, Jerry. The temperature at halftime of the Chadron State game was 90 degrees in our locker room, and through a significant number of donations and great work by Donna Hayes, we now have air conditioning in both halves of our locker room, and it was about 72, 73 degrees, and we were a lot more comfortable. Then when we played the third quarter, maybe I should unplug it. No, just kidding. But no, it's just a continued development of our facilities and upgrade as we try to attend to the needs of our teams as our team rises. So, good question.
So you had air conditioning installed, I'm sorry, I just want to make sure, installed for this last game for the first time?
Yeah, for the first time. They actually turned it on for the first time on Friday. And it was pretty sweet because the average temperature in our locker room on game day, all the time I've been here, has been in the upper 80s, low 90s, and it is unbearable. In fact, we'll go to the top of the ramp at halftime, and our guys will go right out the door to cool off before they come back in and go into the locker room. So it's a lot more comfortable for us.
I know you guys don't like to look at these things and you're concentrated on the next game, but getting some votes in both polls this week from where you started when you got here till now, it's got to feel pretty good that the nation's kind of paying attention to Idaho State.
We ain't done nothing yet.
Your defense, you've wanted the safeties to play better. At times you've harped on tackling. Where do they need to improve now?
Pass rush. You know, they throw 65 times, actually 70-some attempts. And we harried and harassed the quarterback enough into some incomplete passes, especially late in the ball game as they were making a charge at us. And they narrowed the gap to 7, then narrowed the gap to 14. We made their quarterback move his feet and do some things. Obviously, we need to be better in the intermediate pass drops, into the curls and into the deeper slant areas, and pick passes off and get going. And we had 2 interceptions that were both late in the ball game. We need those interceptions and ball hawking skills to be a lot more evident early. Part of that has to do with Eric Collins has been unavailable since the Eastern Washington game, and he's a very adept corner. And we need to play way better at safety. I mean, I feel for Spencer, and I sit in on Spencer's meetings all the time with those safeties. And like I told Quarterback Club this week, we're a little bipolar at quarterback, and I don't mean to mix that up because I have a family that has a history of the illness in it. And when you're up and down, as irregular as we are at safety, it is maddening. And this program, again, rides at safety. Our safety's ability to cap the long play. We cap those long plays, and all of a sudden, instead of 500 yards, they've got 300 yards. Offensively, we've got more opportunities to go fast and score points and do some things positive. So, again, we need to continue to tackle better. I thought our tackling was much better. Now we need to be more astute at what we're doing defensively, especially at safety, where we can't keep riding the roller coaster of how those guys are going to show up and play that day. We've got to align deep enough. We've got to ball hawk the ball in the air, and we've got to make sure that we don't get the top ripped off of our defense again.
You mentioned pass rush. You're second in the sky, sacking the quarterback, but that needs to be considerably higher then.
Well, of course, they had 65 passing attempts. We want to see a sack about once every 12, once every 13 attempt. So, again, our pass rush continues to come and be a major part of what we're doing. We're tweaking we're not really tweaking anything. We're just making some adjustments in our defense that maybe we haven't looked at before that will be evident on Saturday. We're still a work in progress on defense, as opposed to offensively, where we're in our 4th year. I mean, Justin Arias has been with us at quarterback for 4 full seasons. How good would Tyson Manu or Cody Sorensen be with us had they been with us since 2011 as starters and received the same instruction from Spencer Toon as Justin's received from Don Bailey? I mean, there's the difference. That's the catalog difference between the 2 positions and how they're playing. It's just the amount of time spent with your coaches and listening to your coaches and applying what your coaches say.
I have to ask about winning on the road. This is a great opportunity. How can you finally do it?
Oh, I wouldn't say finally. It's just that we have an opportunity this season. The only other team we've played at our level on the road was the number 2 team in the United States, and we lost by 3. I think that was pretty good. And so I don't think these guys are ranked 2 or 3 or 4 in the nation right now, so we expect to play our rear ends off and get what we deserve. All that other stuff that's beyond 2014, that belongs to other teams. And those teams aren't in our locker room, and I don't really care about them.
Can you talk about unavailabilities?
Yeah, we could talk about it. I don't know who's unavailable or not right now. Really, I don't. We have about 5 or 6 guys who are working really hard to become more available. Aaron Pryor is obviously out. Colin Preston-Center's not going to play. It looks like Derek Berry is probably done for the season. He's a backup defensive lineman. And everybody else, though, could be a possible. I really can't go into much more detail.